I hate motorcycles. But anyways, hey guys, today we're going to be ranking generations. This is a pretty good idea I had, because there's a lot of stuff making fun of Gen A and Gen B. Because, all that stuff about how Gen A and Gen B, they kind of, suck. So yeah. Okay, so I couldn't find any. Oh, it's my fan. Oh my god, I thought someone was here. Oh my god, I hate wind. It makes so much noise, and I have to keep my windows open. So yeah. Um, I couldn't find any tier lists on the tier list website, so I just made my own. So let's start off with the Lost Generation, which is like the 1800s. Um, it honestly sounds like a pretty miserable time to live in. You've got you got this, especially like now, you got a ton of wars, you got slavery. It just sounds, and you've got child labor. It just sounds really miserable. I'm gonna put it in F tier. Um, Now we got the Greatest Generation. Now, Greatest Generation has some cool stuff. It's like the 1910s. Uh, um, you've got you've got the rise of silent films, like Charlie Chaplin and stuff. It's like the 1910s and 20s, but you do have World War One, and that is not good. So, but still, I'm gonna put it in C. Now I got the Silent Generation. We got World War Two. That alone just that alone just puts it in D. But you you've also got the rise of like colored cartoons and stuff. Like you got Mickey Mouse, and you've got a whole bunch of Disney stuff, and and we've got the rise of horror films. Like we got like Dracula and the Invisible Man, Frankenstein. Which was like the 30s and 40s, and also around this time was the Great Depression. So that was another thing that bumps us down a lot. But whatever. Also, this is mostly stuff that's happened in the United States. So I'm mostly explaining this off of U.S. culture, and I had to look this video up because I don't know the names of all of them. So I literally watched this video before making this. So yeah, um, shout out to the evaluator. Um, and now I got boomers, which would def which even though you've got the Vietnam War, it would still be by far the best generation so far. Um, you got the '60s. The '60s actually seems like a pretty cool time to live in. You got the moon landing. You got the moon landing. You've got there's a lot of cool movies that came out in the '60s, like Psycho. Even though I didn't really like Psycho, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure the first like James Bond movie came out in the '60s too. So yeah, boomers. Uh, so the boomer generation seems pretty cool. Now I got Generation X, which I'm also going to put in A tier. This is like the late '60s and all the '70s. It's the '70s seems like an even cooler time to live in. You got Jaws, a ton of cool movies. You got Star Wars. I don't really like Star Wars, but other people like Star Wars. Um, and you still got the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War didn't end until 1975, but so it's pretty much the only war we've had that I can think of. Um, so yeah, it's basically Gen X. Seems like a pretty decent time to grow up in. Now we got millennials. Ooh, millennials. The '90s. honestly, the 90s seem like the 90s seem like possibly the best time to grow up, and I'm not gonna lie, the 90s seem pretty great, and I kind of wish that I was alive during the 90s. Like you got so many culture stuff, like pop culture stuff. Like you got Beavis and Butthead, you got Nickelodeon, you got the rise of like the Disney channels and Cartoon Network. You got Beavis and Butthead. You got The Simpsons. You got South Park. Um, and what other shows are there? Um, I wouldn't really count Family Guy. Because that's more 2000s. But oh my gosh, shut up, plane. God, stupid freaking planes. Um, but you basically got the 90s. Yeah, pretty much just the 90s, and there wasn't really any wars that I can think of. I guess there was the Gulf War, but I don't know. That wasn't huge. I mean, it was pretty bad, like Saddam Hussein and stuff. But that's really the only war I can think of. Now we got Gen Z, best generation to grow up in. I love Gen Z. Gen Z culture is so good. Like you got the rise of YouTube. You got you got the rise of the internet, and I can't live without the internet. I would go crazy without the internet. Um, so, so, yeah, Gen Z was like a really, Gen Z was a really great generation. You got so many, like we got so much nostalgic stuff, like all the nostalgic mobile games, like Temple Run, Angry Birds. I played that a little bit, if I remember correctly. And Plants vs. I never really played Plants vs Zombies, but and there's this game I remember called Troll Face or something. It was a bunch of puzzles or something. That's something that I kind of remember, and those games were really fun despite being really tough. So yeah, I love Gen Z. Gen Z is great. I cannot say the same for Gen A, though, which might be, which might. Now, I would rather grow up in Gen A rather than the Lost Generation or the Silent Generation, but it's still pretty bad. Gen A kids, I mean the freaking iPad kids. Oh my god. It seems like so many kids today are so rude and poorly parented, poorly disciplined. Like parents don't care at all. They don't care at all. They don't want to parent their kids, so they just give them an iPad. They just give them an iPad and let that raise them. Which the internet is a terrible option to have raise your kid. Just want to point that out. Water ASMR, I guess. Just kidding. I hate ASMR. Also, we got the rise of AI, which AI is like one of the worst things to have ever happened to the world in general. I hate AI so much. I just kind of wish it didn't exist. Um, so yeah, and Gen B, basically the same thing. Just started this year, and it's already bad. I we got iPad kid Gen B iPad kids are on a whole nother level. Um, Maybe some Gen A kids do know how to slightly talk a little bit and be a normal human being, but Gen B, nope, not at all. All of their brains are just rotting on the internet, on their stupid little iPad, on freaking Roblox, just playing Steal a Brain Rot, which is really sad. It's really sad to see how like lifeless kids are now. Like it's like all they want to do is just sit on an iPad. That's all they will ever do. So yeah, that was ranking generations. A little bit of a quicker video. Um, but yeah. Um, I'm gonna go now. Hope you enjoyed my opinion on how it probably seemed like to grow up in all of the generations. Let me go again with the freaking plane. Shut up, plane! I'm trying to make a video. Bro. Come on! What the? Can you go away? Okay, it's kind of quiet enough now. Hopefully you enjoyed my Hopefully you enjoyed my opinion. I just spit everywhere. On how it probably seemed like to grow up in all of these generations. So I'm gonna go now. Goodbye.